We get into the 2025 Boomer Player Awards on Sooner Intel right now. Good evening, and welcome back to Sooner Intel. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, along with my co-host, Mr. Mason, Chris Mason from Sooners 360. Chris Griffin from the Horns Down Pod will be along shortly. And if you love Sooner college football information, you're in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button on all three channels. Like our content, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you don't miss a moment. The Sooner Intel. Mr. Mason, welcome back.
Thank you.
Hey, big year for Oklahoma this year. We got to give out some player awards. We'll talk about the schedule for next year coming up. I'd say that it's considerably easier than what would be the other one, but then again, it's not kind of. It's really kind of not. But look who's here. Welcome aboard, Mr. Horns Down himself, Chris Griffin. Welcome to the Boomer Player Awards for 2025, sir.
Yes, sir.
What it is.
Well, first off, Lou Groza, first big Boomer Award. Tate Sandell wins the Lou Groza Trophy Award tonight at ESPN's award giveaway. The first kicker Lou Groza Award for OU. He's had historically a fantastic year. Somebody just sent me a Pro Football Focus stat. And Tate's Pro Football Focus grade of 97.8 is the highest grade ever by a kicker since Pro Football Focus has been grading kickers. So we're talking a great year for this year and then a historically great year.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Just
fantastic.
If I think we can all say that if everyone ignores kickers, but I think Sandell's year has been as important as maybe anything going on the field this year.
Chris Mason. Let's just be real. Let's go ahead and we could talk how we want. We can talk freely a little bit. Jason's here, so we can definitely talk freely. This is the first time Jason will back me up on this, and I hate to put it this way, but it's the first time in a while we haven't clenched our asshole trying to watch a kicker kick a field goal for OU. No disrespect to Zach Smith. No disrespect. Hell, even Burkich. He
after the burrito, he fell off the damn wagon.
Yeah, but he would squeeze those in. That boy's kicking right down the middle. It's not a doubt in my mind if the game comes down to him, or if we need a clutch, or if we just need points right then and there. He's a guy that gives you all the advantage, right? So shout out to him. If I may, if we're just staying on special teams for right now, I don't want to jump ahead. I just want to say this right here. Grayson Miller, talk about the punting, talk about everything or whatever. I think the storyline is truly just the fact that, hey, you went from UCO to being an SEC. You know what I'm saying?
Old first team punter.
Let's be real.
All SEC.
That's incredible. That's an incredible story right there. If we get there, we'll get there. But I just wanted to point that out real quick. So I got it out.
And the long snapper guy is probably going to be an NFL long snapper, along with OU long snapper great. Is it James Winchester? I think it's James Winchester, right? With the Chiefs, he's been there since 2010, I think. And he's showing no signs of leaving. So the long snapper kid has also just done a phenomenal job.
No doubt.
I mean,
No doubt.
he's a big kid. He's 6'5", 250, I think. And he's probably going to end up being a pro as well. So those jobs in the NFL are like gold. They never become available. And when you get a long snapper you like, you pay them well and you keep them forever. Like the Bears, when I was in Chicago, the Bears had their guy and they'd had him for like 20 years, and he retired and they were freaking out over who they were going to find and they went through like 6 guys in camp to try and find the guy they wanted. So it's good special teams.
I guess my question would be, are we going to keep Tate around for another year? Can they pay him enough to keep him, or does he end up being draftable at this point, and so he has to leave?
That's an excellent question, Jason. I'd like to think when Jim Nagy's been talking about players he has to retain, and he's been doing that in various interviews the last week with KREF and both with the Oklahoma Breakdown guys. I'd like to think that Jim Nagy, as an NFL experienced player personnel person, would have Tate Sandell, who has a year of eligibility left, on that retention list.
Yeah. Hank's comment here is hilarious.
That's so bad. That's so
Attaboy,
wrong.
Hankster.
That's
Attaboy,
so
Hankster.
wrong.
Not special ed, but special forces.
more like SEAL Team 6, right?
Correct.
SEAL Team 6,
yeah.
or
instead of short bus 6.
So I'm from England. I'm originally from England, so Special Air Services, 22nd Special Air Regiment. Who dares wins? So.
Yes, the Queen's Special Air Service.
Yep.
Or I guess it'd be the King's now. But anyway, yeah, awesome stuff for Tate, and I mean, for him to get the Groza Award, and honestly, it looked like there for a second they were trying to game the system there for that other kid there for a while online. Oklahoma fans really stepped it up. I know I pushed it out there. I saw a lot of retweets of that stuff. I know Stoney was all over it. Shout out to Stoney for being like, dude, we needed him. You know what I mean? And really getting Oklahoma fans to kind of get after it. I know.
Well, you know what happened, right?
It was concerning. What's that?
You know why the Georgia Tech guy got 500,000 votes in 2 minutes? I mean, Georgia Tech's computer science department. That's assassins right there, man.
I mean, yeah. Listen, the CIA's over there. They're recruiting often from there, I'm sure.
I mean, Georgia Tech, doesn't have OU's facilities because they're too busy building the new laser dimension molecular quantum lab on campus. So I bet some tech kids just hacked the crap out of it and threw a bot in because he's been a great kicker for them. So
yeah. But shout out to Sooner Nation for getting in there and making sure that happened. So that was important.
And you're right, on social media, his recognition and value is clear from our fan base.
What I will say too, as far as I asked the question, but I guess I would also say you're seeing commercials for him out there. He's definitely getting NIL love,
which helps keep him, right.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know how much of that kind of stuff you're going to get as a rookie in the NFL, even if you're banging kicks. I think that's the kind of stuff that takes a while, and you've got to be the short stuff has really probably helped it a lot as far as that's concerned. There's always got to be some kind of gimmick with it, or you got to be kicking Super Bowl winners. It's a tough ask, right? I think that, you can probably make sure that you can lock up some NIL for him moving forward that may keep him around, may be easier to keep him around for as long as possible,
It all helps, right? A little money here, a little money there, all adds up. T-shirt sales,
Correct.
Branding stuff, it all helps.
Right. Yeah, we better keep Tate, says Andrew. Yeah, listen, guys, I would think that they would want to do that for sure, especially, again, in view of the fact that there's been some as Chris says, some pucker moments over the last 5 or 6 years. Whenever a kicker's on the field. Derek Hamilton, welcome into the show. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, imagine having him during that Georgia game when Seibert missed that field goal. I don't even want to go there. Keep it moving. Chris Mason, what else you got on here, man?
Well, we're going to move to our Sooner Awards, our Boomer Awards. Okay, so Chris, I know you've been scrambling to get here, so I'm going to lead with my discussion, then Jason's going to lead with his, giving you time to think about who you want to choose. All right.
Go ahead.
So the first one's very easy. I think it should be a clean sweep here, although you could have a different name. Offensive MVP. I honestly don't know how you can go with anybody other than Isaiah Satania. That's what both Jason and I put down. He's the playmaker. He's going to get 1,000 yards receiving. He second team All SEC, and I think that's only because the SEC has like 3 first-round draft picks ahead of him. I think that was kind of that bias there a little bit. He has the most receiving yards in conference games, not the padded stats that some of the other guys have with the 4 out of conference games with the 3 cupcakes for at least most of them. So Chris, would you agree with Satania as offensive MVP?
Yeah, I would agree with Satania being your offensive MVP. I think it's been a pleasant surprise for that guy, for the simple fact that you love to see players who bet on themselves coming from Arkansas to here. I think all of us kind of had our minds wrapped around Giovanni Gibson being that guy, which I'm still holding out faith for him.
Sure, sure.
But Satania was a pleasant surprise. He was the guy that you thought, okay, maybe he could be the gadget, maybe he can be the guy that will battle Burks to see kind of that spot, that outside guy, this and that, and he just kind of turned into really just an all around wide receiver. Shout out, every time you count Emmett Jones out, here goes 1 or 2 guys that start to blossom into something, and then here go another guy that you're just like, okay, maybe we're still about a year away from this guy actually doing something. But when Emmett Jones has time to settle down, get guys situated, man, you just see the product. But definitely happy with what we got from him, but even happier for him personally because just a testament to the work that he put in. Definitely bet on himself.
Yeah, I mean, never heard a bad word from anybody about him at all, in terms of that.
Oh,
So
he puts in the work, man. There's just no 2 ways around it. And I think that when you start, talking about just the way he's, even though he had some moments where he makes a bad player, he's had a few fumbles and things like that, and it's something that it would concern you or whatever. But the dude just makes plays after play after play, and whether it be in special teams or making a big catch at the right time. I mean, there's no bigger play than him getting open against LSU in that last game. So to be able to do that to me, I think it was as big as anything. So yeah, he's been definitely a pleasant surprise. But I love hearing, and this is a guy that really wasn't getting on the field at Arkansas last year. You know, and
well, it's
it's
a
just been a while.
surprise, based upon how well he's done for OU. I'm surprised that Green didn't hit him more last year. I don't know if that was their wide receiver core was better, but that's a little surprising to me. But
When you go back and watch some of the film at Arkansas, you just go and break down some of that film, just trying to find bits and pieces of Satania out there. He was clearly one of their just deep guys, and he made a bunch of competitive catches on some 50-50 balls for some touchdowns. I mean, the play that stood out to me was probably the one that he had against Texas last year. Whenever he played them with Arkansas, he had one where he just climbed the guy and went up, but that was a product of just that offense. I mean, obviously, Petrino and all the rest of that, but I think didn't they start early like with somebody different, and then Petrino came into the fold as far as that. Regardless, though, it just felt like, I don't know. It's just weird to think that he went from that to this. And Taylor Green, especially with the talent level he has. But as we already know, Arkansas just kind of
yeah,
they started hot, and then I swear after that game in Stillwater last year, they just went
yeah,
down.
they chucked that away.
Yeah.
All right, so this should be. I don't want to say contentious is the wrong word, but there are multiple dudes you could go for the next one. So defensive MVP. maybe a little recency bias on my part. I'm going with Peyton Bowen. When you think about the big plays he's made in this stretch, and his development, which I think has just increased the play of the secondary and made the secondary that much better. That's why I'm going with Peyton Bowen. But Jason, obviously, your response is it's hard to go wrong with that either.
Well, no, the thing is that I think that I kind of looked at, in looking at what you had already had on the sheet or whatever. If I could, I wanted to add somebody because of the fact that I
Exactly.
mean, I think in this instance, I don't think there's
And Jason
bad
went with
argument for Peyton.
Kip Lewis. Sorry, Jason
Right,
went with
right.
Kip
I
Lewis.
don't think there's a bad I don't think there's a bad argument for Kip, but I don't think there's a bad one for Peyton either. So I would say that both of these guys have definitely been. To me, it's 1-1A, but you could probably have thrown in somebody. I don't know who Chris is going to say here, but myself, I think that Kip is unheralded to an extent, and I had went with Peyton originally with you as well. And so, but I feel like this is a situation where you've got a few guys. I think that Taylor Wine, the way that he played the second half, you could argue for that. I think that even though you didn't have R. Mason for the last 4 games, the last 3 games and change, he could be also the defensive MVP because of the way that how much he meant to it and how much he meant to spark that thing, especially in that game. I think there's a lot of guys that you could talk about. So to me, though, Kip Lewis has been really, I felt like last year he was their defensive MVP as well. I don't think that he got that recognition at that point. What I would tell you is that both of these guys, I mean, you look at Peyton, he's definitely become exactly what everybody expected him to be when they recruited him as a 5-star, right? But Kip, to me, is the guy that, man, if he's not making the tackle, he's right there with the guy making it. He's always fired up and making plays. I think that I remember Nate Dreiling was talking about how hard it is for a linebacker to make a play because of how good this defensive front is. The defensive line's so good that you got to eat up whatever you can. But Kip has done that. He's filled the stat sheet to some extent, not like he did with turnovers and stuff last year, but he's on every play, man. He's just in there on every play, and he's made some key sacks at important times when they send him. He just doesn't seem to screw anything up. But I also think that Peyton, when you start talking about the blocks, the interceptions, he's taken over where Billy left off of running that defense on the back end, and I think he's been fantastic. I don't think you can go wrong with the number of guys here, but I love Kip Lewis and I want him to come back. I hope he does. Hey, Chris.
So you said something, Jason. You said Billy Bowman leaving, and so basically, let me go right here. So Hank says this right here. He says losing Stutz and not being seeing it bother the defense was impressive. You could say the same thing for Billy Bowman leaving, and you feel like your secondary has not only, I think they've improved, but I think they've also, it's just one of those things where there were some things you want to see early and often, but defensive line was playing so well as collectively. You can't really go wrong with either one of these guys. Love Kip because Kip is my turn me up guy. He started making a couple plays, he's talking. He's letting the other side know, and he's talking to his sideline. He's letting them know I'm getting active. Peyton Bowen is just the ball hawk skills are starting to show now, and it's getting ridiculous with some of the plays that he's making. That interception on Van Buren during the LSU game, ridiculous. I mean that's stupid. But guys, I'm gonna probably have to disagree with both of you, and I'm gonna go with Taylor Wine. And I'm gonna go with Taylor Wine for the simple fact that when R. Mason Thomas went out, there wasn't a doubt in my mind that somebody was going to step up. thought it would be Marvin Jones Jr. And do not get me wrong, I think Marvin Jones Jr. has played himself into a conversation of maybe not getting a combine invite, but he could get a Senior Bowl invite. He's a guy that can that is going to have a really good pro day, and he's a guy that now you can put on the film and you can say, okay, now it makes sense. Now we can see the motor. Now we can see those things.
Okay.
But as much as me and Jason argued coming into the season about certain things or whatnot, and we're not going to mention those names, I think Jason will still stand on his hill and he will die on that hill. But I think Jason will even say, Chris, I see where you're coming from because we had difference makers opposite of our Mason Thomas this year. Not only did he go out there and set the edge, but he became the man, and he had to grow up overnight and become the guy. And so he set the tone early and often. And I'll be honest with you, Taylor Wine is not a name that's being talked about enough nationally. I think that guy next year is. I mean, me and my uncle, we talk about it offline all the time. You're gonna have to pay Taylor Wine, and it's just one of those things where diamond in the rough. He is. I mean, like I said, our Mason Thomas goes out, and again, we're saying it's impressive that Stutz leaves, Bowman leaves, our Mason Thomas is out. And who's making plays, who's getting in the backfield, who's getting strip sacks, who's forcing fumbles, who's disrupting stuff. Not only that whole defensive line, but Taylor Wine is leading the charge on most of that, on most plays. So I just have to go with Taylor Wine, man. I think he had a hell of a year, and it's just crazy to think, again, I hate to give him kudos because I try to give him a hard time, but I remember when we were in the midst of trying to get him, and me and my uncle, we called and we were talking. He was like, "Hey man, you put on his film. His film is better than Vasic. It's way better than Vasic." He was like, "This kid could end up being way better than that kid." And I don't want to down anybody or whatnot, but it's just crazy to think how this guy was a 3-star.
Yep.
Tennessee, no big time offers, no nothing, and then we went and found him in the late cycle. It's just later in the cycle. It's just crazy.
You're on mute, Jason.
Oops. He's in the same part of the state as Tennessee as well. So it's not like they couldn't have been there to see him. He's right there, outskirts of Nashville. They knew, I mean, you had to know he was there. But, I mean, they were recruiting somebody else. They were there looking at somebody else whenever they got to Taylor Wine. And it was kind of one of those deals.
It was a wide receiver. It was a wide receiver.
Yeah. But they come away from there thinking, holy shit, who is this guy? And again, I think this is going to, part of the reason that I think that we haven't given Miguel Chavis enough love after all the shit that people gave him for the first couple of years that this staff has been in place is that, it's just wild to me that we hadn't really given him that kind of love. But I'm having an issue connecting. I know I'm here right now, but I may have to redo it here in just a second. So anyway, no, I think that Taylor Wine is also, again, I said you could go with him. You could go with, I think this is a tough one because this entire defense.
Like 5 guys you go with easy. 5 guys have easy arguments.
Absolutely. And I would tell you that like Kendall Daniels is another one of those guys but I think that for the MVP award, I really probably 3 or 4, but to me, in my opinion, but I would tell you that, man, these guys, I think this part of the reason you're not seeing as much love on that first team on the defense for the SEC is because there's so many of them that they go so deep at every position on this defense that this is the reason. I mean, we talked about it this morning on my show, is that this is kind of the reason that you went and got Brent Venables, and this is where you look at it and say, this is why you went and got him. And yeah, look, he built a program that's capable of being in the playoff and competing in the playoff sooner than the guy that left, and he hadn't been able to do it at a place like USC. So to me, when he left the program the way he did and tore it down and then took his Heisman Trophy winner with him and didn't make the playoff, for Brent to get here quicker is pretty impressive. And it's because of players like they have at 3 deep all the way through the defense, right?
Oh, one more name just to throw in there. I'm not even going to go into detail. I just got to say, just saying the name is enough. But, Stoney, come on now. mean,
Yeah.
I mean, Stoney has been a guy. Stoney has been a guy. Him and G Baby, and both of them. I don't think we talk about it enough. The fact that you've had injuries across that defensive line, and I think you could have played some guys, but I think and what you call it as well. I think he's just really been just the anchor. The stats and all the rest of that stuff may not be there, but Dominique Williams has been just as disruptive as anybody. I think he's an unsung hero simply because he's probably the most vocal leader, and he knows what's going on because he knows those guys that are playing alongside him are just as talented. So, yeah.
All right. So we're going to
Stoney
echo.
was a good. Stoney's a good call too.
So,
By the
yeah.
way, I
Yeah.
love that one too. Yeah,
So
go ahead.
we're gonna echo this a little bit, but freshman of the year, I took the layup of Michael Fasusi. I'm not sure we need to really talk about that much. Jason, you went with Tory Blaylock, which also I think is a great choice. So Chris, are you going to take the door number 3, the obvious door number 3 here that we've left you? We've left you the layup of the most obvious next guy.
And who would that be?
Cortland Guillory.
You're going freshman, just
Freshman,
I thought you were going like on defense and okay.
true freshman of the year on the team.
Okay, true freshman of the year. I'll go Guillory because I was about to throw y'all a curveball. I thought y'all was talking offensively. I was about to throw you a curveball because
No.
yeah.
You got the whole team here. I took Fasusi. Obviously, he's our left tackle for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Jason took Tory Blaylock when healthy. He looks like he's going to be a stud running back for us. But we'll let you have a couple of comments about Cortland Guillory. If that's your choice, that's kind of the layup we left you.
No, I mean, yeah, I think it's kind of obvious, man. That kid is played out of his mind. Some of the worries that I had as far as just injuries and this and that. I mean, there was a time where you was thinking like, okay, if Gentry stays healthy, he's healthy. Where does Bowen come in? Is Bowen kind of his backup or what's going on? Because like this kid is playing at a really good level. Just the response that he had after the Ole Miss game. I mean, enough said right there. I mean, the kid has played through a lot of things, and I'll be honest with you, it's very reminiscent of the old days where Venables was here as well, right? Where you knew that there was the Dominique Franks, there was those type of freshmen that were on the team that you just felt like, okay, who's going to be the superstar? These guys are already getting time. These guys are getting, into the rotation. They're here and there. They're trying to figure out if they can get them on the field, but it feels like it's very reminiscent of that again. Now, if you guys don't mind, when you said freshman. I was thinking, okay, well, that opens it up because I'll be honest with you, if I had an MVP freshman, redshirt freshman, but guys, I'm just gonna go ahead and
we got a category for that though.
Okay, go ahead.
So all right. So freshman of the year, Fasusi, Tory Blaylock, and Guillory, 3 guys who could have all been on freshman All-American teams. 2 of them were.
Yeah. Well, and Joe, we didn't really get a chance to talk about Tory too much either, and we really should because this guy came in at a time when, you didn't get anything out of your veteran presence. You go out and you spend a lot of money on a guy like Jay, and I'm not going to spend time talking about Jay Knott, but you spend money on this guy. You have Javonte Barnes in the backfield, and you've got Zay X-Rob coming back. And coming into the season, it was Javonte and Tory. He gets hurt in the first game and he continues to play week after week after week with a bum shoulder. And he had some important games to where he needed to be that guy, and he stepped up and did it. I think that at the end of the season, I don't think anybody would argue that X-Rob has been the best back at the end of the season, but in the last game, who was the best back? It was Tory. This guy has been a breath of fresh air in the locker room. I think that he's come in like a pro as a true freshman, and I think he definitely deserves any little bit of love we give him. And just like the other 2 guys too, I think Fasusi to come in and be as heralded as he was, I would tell you,
and live up to
that is big. But it's to me, I don't want to discount the fact that these guys have Torrey has been that dude as well. So it's just been, I've been excited watching that kid play, and I think that the future at that position with those two guys in the backfield, and along with, I would say along with some of the guys they got coming in as well, right?
Yeah,
You've got
Nagy talking about Walker and Hatton is pretty impressive sounding. So yeah, I mean,
right,
we could you could have a next fall when we do this, next December when we do this, freshman of the year could be another running back. That's completely possible.
right. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me either. I was really trying to make sure I got enough time to throw some pictures on there. More
That's
than
great.
anything else. But
All right.
yeah, shout out to those guys for making it, for being big time contributors this year as well. All three of those guys. And again, I think you could even go deeper with this, but yeah, next up, let's go.
All right, portal transfer of the year. I took the real layup here and took Tate Sandell. So I don't think Lou Grozer award winner. I don't think I need to say any more about that.
No.
Jason, you went with an interesting answer. I'm not saying it's a wrong answer, but it's an intriguing answer of Kendall Daniels.
Yeah, man, KD has been that guy. I mean, and imagine if you had him for another couple of years. I mean, huge play against Michigan in the backfield. That's like one of the hits that you remember it kind of set the tone for the season to me of how they're going to play. And just, I don't think Justice Haynes wanted the ball too much more after that. But you've seen him make play after play, and you can only imagine what would have been like with another year or two at Oklahoma under this staff and getting the tutelage that he got. Because if you think about once what's his name left OSU in 2021, he had a third a Division III defensive coordinator there, and it wasn't the same. And they put a lot of that stuff on him, and I think that was kind of wrong to do that. So to me, I felt like I loved watching him play, man. I just think he's a one of those transformer type players that you're just like, holy shit, can you imagine what he's going to be in a couple of years? I think he's going to be fantastic at the next level, and it's just, to me, I've enjoyed watching him. You could have went a lot of different ways, and Tate Sandell is definitely one of them as well. Yes.
Chris, your portal transfer of the year?
No, I mean I think it's love the Sandell pick, but it's obviously Kendall Daniels, man. Just the flexibility, right? The baby MacGyver, the Swiss Army knife. I mean, the guy, he allows OU to do a lot of different things that we haven't been able to do, which is just play however we want to play. We don't have to sub or change or do anything like that. Our subs, if you're again, people, the game management, I think that's something that gets overshadowed by bad performance of the offense or maybe a player or two here that we give up on defense or whatever. But the game management has been better this year. And I think the gamesmanship has added to that simply because most of our subs now are just, hey, let's figure out what they're running. Let's try to make them have to run clock. Let's get fresh guys in here, fresh bodies, this and that. We're seeing what's going on. Let's make our calls. Let's make our audibles, right? But with Kendall Daniels out there, you're not necessarily changing that much. You may be just changing personnel opposed to changing, changing the actual play, right? So he's a guy that is lining up with slot guys. You can line him back up. He's a guy that allows you to see somebody like Peyton Bowen be able to make the plays that he's making simply because he's a guy that can go out there and play safety and actually cover. So, when you watch Brandon Hall on the huddle and all these different places or whatever, having these conversations saying, yeah, I get to work with him maybe 3 minutes out of the whole practice, but those 3 minutes are really crucial because he lines up as safety, right? So the whole thing is just the flexibility that he gives you. This is what we all envision the cheetah spot looking like. And safe to say, I'm not going to say they're the same player, this and that or whatever, but safe to say, yeah, we finally can put the whole Isaiah Simmons thing to rest and just say this is the example of what it looks like here at Oklahoma. So I think for me, he's been really
That's
big.
in one season of working with these guys too, man.
Yes, and you can't discount what Drawling and and
Goodwin.
Goodwin, yeah, what the impact that they've had, because Goodwin has been able to, I think, expedite the learning curve a lot for Kendall Daniels, also Reggie Powers Jr. as well, or the third, excuse me, as well, simply because he knows the spot, he knows BV's defense. So now, to me, I think that there are steps on the field as far as the game management and steps off the field to allow BV to kind of be more of that CEO. We know he's calling the plays, but at the same time, I think that he's able to actually be flexible in the role of game planning, actually figuring out how do we win this game, all the rest of that stuff, opposed to trying to coach one position out there on the field, which is the linebacker, right? Obviously, we know he still has a hand in over there, but I think he has two guys that he definitely trusts with the linebackers, and I think it's working out really well. But yeah, Kendall Daniels, man, I mean, just the flexibility he allows us to have to be able to not change personnel. You would have loved to have Dolby there. I think Dolby makes maybe some more flashier plays simply because you're just looking at him at that size and some of the athleticism, but at the same time, just same could be said about Kendall Daniels in reverse, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love him. And I just, man, I get, you just think about, holy crap, what could this kid have been in another couple of years? You know what I mean? It's just, and because he's such an athlete. I mean, he was a freshman All-American for a reason. It's clear that he just really, I mean, it's too bad for Oklahoma State that they fumbled the bag when it came to him, because holy shit, you know.
Yeah.
But and what pretty awesome of him to be able to even say, hey man, I hated Oklahoma and I had no intentions, but to be able to say, hey, you know what? Once I got here and got with these guys and talked to them a little bit, it was like, wow, you know, I get it. I get why they're here and I get what we're doing. And yeah, I mean, that's a tough deal. That's got to be a tough deal for those guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think, and I remember when we were talking about him as a portal acquisition on this show back in January, because you got him late in the portal process. I mean, it was a couple of weeks, and we folks were wondering, is he really going to go to OU? And he kind of showed up a little late. OU missed on some other guys, and there were some definite criticisms that, well, he's had a bad year, he's kind of loafing, and we were like, well, come on, the whole team's loafing. What do you expect? So to him to, as we've said, same thing about Marvin Jones Jr. We said about Kendall. You're not going to play if you're not running hot, right? You got to run hot to get on the field at Oklahoma. So the problems that some of these people are talking about with both of those guys, they're going to evaporate, or they just won't play. And I think for Marvin Jones Jr., you've seen the same thing. He's running hot at defensive end. So I think I think that comment there was some people doubting this as an acquisition, to be sure, and I think obviously it's come through beautifully for OU. So
no, I think that's a really good call too. I think that one was, I didn't really think about him as much because I think the other guys have kind of been a little bigger, but I definitely think that we probably haven't spoken about him enough this year because he has been very, very good.
It's been so solid, and he's give you look at his stats and the fact we play multiple defensive ends is just hasn't allowed a lot of the defensive ends to rack up stats basically. When you look at that, so all right, guys, most improved upperclassman, redshirt junior, redshirt senior, junior, senior. I went with the name we've already mentioned. I went with Dominic Williams, who I think this year has been just a solid piece and has improved himself to the point where I think we'll see him on an NFL roster for a while. He just has that build. He just stuffs the run. He's showing more penetration, pass rush kind of stuff as well. He may not be getting to the quarterback, but he's moving the pocket back on quarterbacks and causing havoc there. So I'm going to go with Dominic Williams.
Yep, and I'm gonna listen. I know it's saying most improved. It's kind of weird because he changed positions, but come on, man, Jaron Kanek. To me, it's him. I don't think that
he wasn't going to play without this position move, Jason. He's not playing.
Right, and look, I don't think he had the season that we hoped that he would have, in view of the talent. But he stepped up big in big situations. I'm surprised the touchdowns haven't come with it. But then again, I'm surprised we haven't had more touchdowns all the way around. So But Jaron Kanek, I mean, you got to put the picture of him shooting the dog. I love it. It's
Well, it's
he's
another guy with another year, right? Can't I mean if you could say, can I get 3 years of can I get three guys back for another year? It'd be MJJ, Kanek,
yeah.
and Daniels, right? If I could have those three guys back, forget about it.
Yeah, listen, I think that, and I wish that there was some way that you could get another year with him because it's really 4 years for him, 4 straight years that he's going to play and be out of here. I think he's an NFL guy, though. I do think he's an NFL guy. I think he translates as an NFL guy with his speed and athleticism, and the fact that he's got a lot of upside at this position. I think there's some teams out there that would love to have him moving forward. Could you imagine him with a guy like Andy Reid? You know,
He's a late round pick, but he's a guy that you would be like he's going to test really well. He's going to do all the different things, and he's a guy that you would say. I'll be honest with you. I'd rather him go undrafted. That way he can pick where he wants to go. Goes to the right situation. He's a guy that you hide out for maybe a year, work on just some mechanics things, and with especially blocking outside of that, and then let him loose because I think he can play tight end at that level. Guys, I'll just throw that name in there. Chris Mason had alluded to it, but I'll go with Marvin Jones Jr. I think that just coming in here, the knock on him, the motor, this and that, definitely got to commend him for being able to take the constructive criticism that BV and all of them put on. As far as just showing him the tape, showing him what's going on, and showing him why, he's on his third team, right? I think that guy there has shown that, hey, it's all there. 5-star to this, that, and the third. I think it's all there. He just had to realize, and I think he's realized it for the most part here. He's a guy, again, that I kind of put in that Trace Ford category where you just say, he's a dude. Just it hasn't necessarily panned out the way that he probably thought it would, but he's just a dude, man. And I think that he's a guy that can go to the NFL and play for a really long time. You see the technique, you see a lot of the things. He makes some flash plays, especially early this year when R. Mason, was either out or whatever the case may be. I mean, he made plays. You just sit there and you think to yourself, like, damn, what would his numbers look like without some of those horse collars, right? Because he was very disruptive and active. But yeah, Marvin Jones Jr. would be mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on. So, most improved redshirt freshman, sophomore, whatever category. Since I did this, I had this category before you guys did because I made it. I went with Taylor Wine. I mean, to go from the guy with the 2 personal foul penalties in the what was it, the Temple game last year? No, it was the first game. One of the first games, like he had he blew up the guy twice, right? He got 2 personal fouls on the same play. To go from that guy, right, to, I mean, he's a third team All-American kind of guy. That's the kind of year he's had. I mean, when I think of like a potential comp for him like that, the Hutchinson kid from Michigan who's with the Detroit that's the guy he kind of reminds me of a little bit. So to go from that to this, I chose the easy one there. But Jason, I think your pick is also, I mean, there's a bunch of guys that sort of fit in this category, but your pick of Reggie Powers, I think, is pretty spot on. I went with D-line, you went secondary, Cheetah. The fact both of these guys have played this well has raised both of their groups.
Listen, I that's what I was going to say. I think Reggie has been, and obviously Taylor has been huge too. There's no other way to say it, but these guys have both been incredible in the second half of the season. To me, I think that Reggie you could tell they were missing him whenever he didn't get to play that first half in this other game. So this is a guy that he basically made Kendall Dolby. I mean, they weren't missing him. When between him and Kendall Daniels, what they were able to do at the Cheetah position, shout out to Kendall Dolby because I think we all love him. And as a player, he can't get on the field with these 2 guys. And I think that's really kind of what happened there. I think Reggie has been fantastic. I think that he's going to be another one of those guys that we're gonna look back on his career and be like, man, he kind of came out of nowhere, but he was always kind of right there. You know what I mean? But he came out of nowhere and just became dude, a real dude, like right away. But in that hit against South Carolina, it's another one of those bone chilling. Oh my God, that hurt. You know what I
And
mean? Took his soul away from him in that game against South Carolina, and that kind of propelled him for the rest of this half of the season.
props to Michigan State for firing their coach and back 2 years ago and letting Reggie Powers be back on the recruiting market for
No
OU
doubt.
for OU to steal.
No doubt. No doubt. Jimmy Satterfield says Jacoby Johnson. I think that's a good call too. He's been very good this year.
Although he's a
Is he?
junior, so
Oh,
so
okay,
he
okay.
so
So
he'd
we're
be an
talking redshirt freshman
upperclassman.
then.
He should be a redshirt sophomore, but he's a
Well, maybe he
junior.
was talking about that too.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
we're talking.
either way, he works. So Chris, limiting you to redshirt freshmen and sophomores, and redshirt sophomores.
I
Who we?
already got it. I got it. Great picks by you guys, but I'm gonna go with EPL. In my opinion,
That's
my
a great pick.
earnest
Oh,
That's
I
a great
love
pick.
that one.
my
Yes.
my earnest opinion, and I may take flack for this, but to me, I think the offensive line changed. Uh, I think it changed one when Michael took over at center, but also when EPL became your starter there. Chris Mason had been saying it for a while. I know, Jason, we had talked about it offline with Chris Mason or whatnot. I think Simmons and Simmons has had a very he's had a weird year here. He's played well in spurts, kind of iffy here and there, been injured as well. But I think Foje is in his rightful place there at tackle. But for me, I think that the nastiness that I've been wanting for a long time, it's not perfect. Technique, this and that, all the rest of that they want to talk about and all of that's fine. I just wanted somebody that was going to
You
hit.
need a mauler,
You need
and
a
him
mauler.
between him and somebody else I wanted to bring up too that somebody said in there, Babechi Wewu.
Yeah,
I don't think he's most improved because I think on the last because I think he was already their best offensive lineman.
yeah.
I I think Fabechi though he's been fantastic, and we should have probably had an offensive lineman of the year award here.
Mhm.
Um, but I would say for sure that's another guy. But yes, you need guys like that. What you're talking about to be, you've heard Gabe talking about it a lot that they're just kind of running up and instead of these dudes are trying to knock your fucking head off,
Yeah, and,
and
and I
so
think
that's what you're looking for.
the dream, the dream for me coming into the season was, watching Arbuckle's offense. You're sitting there saying, "Hey, when they run that GT counter, imagine EPL, basically hauling ass and catching you like." And you've seen it. And there's been, and to me, I think there's been more good than bad. I think, yes, there are a bunch of things. You could talk about material, you could talk about EPL, you could talk about a bunch of guys that's just like, hey, mechanically, things are a bit broken right now. Things are a little bit of a mess. But if they fix some of those things, watch out for what this team can do, especially whenever you have healthy running backs and all the rest of that. For what we have, for what we can bring back potentially next year, I'm excited to see because I think this is going to be one of the first years, and I'm hopeful for this. And I know that they're going to try some things with UTEP and New Mexico and this and that or whatever the case may be, because that's just beating both style. But at the very least, it does feel like going into next year, I think it's kind of clear with your starters. Yeah,
We know four starters, right?
yes, I think it's very clear with your starters exactly who you're going to get, and you
And
never know what they're
Fabechi's
going to
out.
do in the
This
portal.
is the end for Wewu, right? He's out of there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you should know for your starters, and I think we all feel pretty damn good about what Fasusi and Foje are going to do. There's improvement that needs to be made. Even with Michaela could be better in run blocking, right? Pass blocking, yeah, run blocking. So I mean, there's levels to this. There's things that need to happen, but again, the continuity is there, and I think that the physicality is there. I think what I'm looking for is another guard that wants to tear your head off. I think that again, y'all know I've been screaming for it for the last couple of years. To me, I think that our run game, especially with Levy, was so, hey, it's really just inside zone, right? It's not outside, it's not none of that. It's inside zone. Get to the second level. If it's the safety, if it's the linebacker, you got to win that one-on-one matchup. But we didn't. I mean, Eric Gray was just. I mean, he was just incredible back there. But at the same time, Matoyer was good, and I forget whoever else we had over there. But when you have a Rame or you have these Michaelas or you have somebody who's not physical at something, technique kind of goes out the window. I just need somebody that's going to hit somebody and create lanes because I know what X Rob is going to do. X Rob, even if it's just a run where he should only get 1 yard, I know he's going to fall forward and gain at least 3 or 4 more yards, right? So it's one of those things where once it comes together and they're making holes, we just got to figure out how we want to run the ball. But the whole thing is that, again, I think the offensive line changed with the additions of Michaela and EPL starting, but definitely got to give kudos to EPL.
All right, so there lot of choices here. Favorite? It's not a player per se. Well, it really is because the player making the play. The favorite defensive play of the year. I'm going just because I just love watching the replay of it. Wine sack of Ty Simpson leading to the fumble that won the game. When you watch him coming around the edge, I mean, he just runs through him. He blows him up completely. I mean, I know Simpson might be hurt. I half think Wine hurt him on that play. I mean, just the physicality of Wine and R. Mason Thomas not being available, but Wine made the big play, forced the fumble. To me, that's my favorite defensive play of the year. Jason, you've got R. Mason versus Tennessee, which is obviously so awesome.
It's obvious. It's the totally obvious answer because of the fact that it just set us off on such a important. I mean, look, it backs against the wall, and they're not playing worth a shit at that moment, and he comes through and makes a huge play for Oklahoma. It's the iconic play of the year for me. I don't even think it's really that close. So
it's Torrance Marshall at A&M 2000 like at this point.
Absolutely.
Chris, do you have an alternate?
Jason is 1000% right. If I went with probably one of my favorite plays, and we've seen it quite a bit, and I can't believe teams can't game plan for it. But I love that delayed blitz with one of your DBs. I think mine would probably. I would go Boganowski and Temple because he blew that dude up. But I think it probably would be the Day Jordan sack on Ty Simpson. That was
running through the running back.
Yeah, that was scheme that turned into plus effort, right? Like extra effort right there to blow that guy up, not give up and go. Let's be honest about it. Day Jordan's probably 185, 190 pounds, right?
Yeah, that was a huge play, right?
And that was a huge play. That was probably one of my favorite plays. I was like, holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
And he went right through that running back. He's like 210, 220.
Right through.
Just terrible technique. All right. A less broad category, because our points per game not being quite what we'd like it to be. But your favorite offensive play of the year, I'm going with the Mateer sideline pass to Satania in the Michigan game, where he avoids the sack, moves to the right, and throws that dime to Satania. The kind of the play we haven't seen since the thumb injury. So that's the one I'm going with. And then Jason, you're suggesting the Mateer to Satania go-ahead TD pass versus LSU.
I mean, again, this is the reason you're in the playoff because of that play. The rest of the season is kind of, I mean, there's some good plays here and there. The only one that matters to me, that one.
Good call. Chris, do you have a favorite offensive play beyond the two we described?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I'll be honest with you. Probably going back to the Tennessee game. I think it was 3rd and 16, 3rd and something, and Mateer picking up that first down. That was huge.
On the scramble.
Yeah,
that was a huge play.
I like that one.
So overlooked, underappreciated MVP. I think we need to I'm going to have two answers here. One, I'm going Grayson Halton, but it probably should be Fabechi Wewu. based upon what he's done. So, but I think Grayson Holton's had a great year. He's not the flash and dash on the D line is R. Mason and David Stone, but Grayson's had a great year. I mean, he really has. I mean, he got some flowers in second team SEC on one of the lists. So I was happy to see that. But Grayson Holton, when you think about what he walked into Norman and what he's leaving, it just shows you Todd Bates and his ability to develop dudes, right? To just a 6'3", 260-pound tight end, defensive end, and now he's a 6'2", 6'3", 300-pound third-round pick defensive tackle, maybe?
No doubt. I think, he's been one of the highest graded defensive tackles since last year. Fantastic player. I think that he's gotten better and better. I remember I was talking to Coop this morning on my show, and we were talking about when we had, that a lot of guys you're looking at guys to become what he is coming up next year, and so we're just excited about it's exciting, but I got to meet his parents at the Red River last year. His dad kind of got a little pissed off at me, which was kind of funny. But but they're cool ass people, and he's been a joy to watch. I love watching him play. I had to go with Owen Heineke, unsung hero. This is a lacrosse guy, transfers in or walks on, and I love the story that BV's given about pissing him off, always jumping in. And he's been huge at times this year, and just huge plays. Just when he's on the field, you can expect him to be in the backfield or breaking up a pass or something. He's going to be doing something. I really love watching Owen Heineke play football.
Yeah, I mean, we all remember his uncle on the 2000 team was just a glue guy that was like so fundamentally sound that kept the 2000 defense being what it was. But yeah, I mean, Owen Heineke, it's, I know the big play against Tennessee is like, oh, that's it. But to me, it was the way he shut down Armand Hardy, the way I think he had like 3 tackles for loss in that game. He was constantly shooting the gaps and stopping Missouri's running game. If it was Hardy or the other running back, that's what jumps out to me about Owen Heineke.
Yeah. I'm going through and dropping some of these comments. I mean, these are awesome. People are talking about their favorite plays. And some of these other guys as well that have been, kind of huge. Talking about Eli Bowman, mostly overlooked. I don't know that he's been overlooked a ton. I think we were all kind of waiting on him to get back healthy for a while, right? But I mean, he's certainly the Bowen brothers have been fantastic the entire second half of the season for sure. Ball hawks and just, and we already knew that Eli was killing it, but I get what you're saying. I haven't talked about him much because you talked so much about Cortland. But I think Cortland has been fantastic. He's just unbelievably good. So, anyway.
So Jason,
I love some of these.
So sorry, Chris, do you have an underappreciated MVP?
No, I think the 2 guys right here. I think for sure those 2 for sure.
All right. So, best preview of things to come. Let me kind of give some context to this. The number 1 player you're looking forward to their potential 2026. And again, I get the first dib, so I went with a real obvious answer. Danny Okoye 2026. I mean, give me every freaking share of what that could be next year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Jason had a good call with his Robert Spears Jennings leaving, so Bogo's taken over, and it could be an All-American type year from Bogo.
Yeah, listen, I mean, and part of that, I mean, I'll just say it is biased, Big Mike's on the show with me on Mondays and stuff, but I've really enjoyed watching.
And the second half of the year, he's really improving.
Especially in those run fits where he's coming down and delivering blows to guys. I mean, listen, there's no doubt about who's the hardest hitter on this football team. It's Michael Boganowski Jr. This guy will rattle your bones and make you wish you weren't playing football. And so it's been great seeing more of him in flashes of, what we think he's going to become. I think that reps is going to be more and more. And I mean, yeah, like I said, it's kind of biased, but to be honest with you, it's really not. He's going to be unreal, especially with Robert Spears Jennings being gone.
Chris, do you have a choice other than Danny Okoye and Mike Boganowski?
Yeah. It's a guy that we already know. We've already talked about him a little bit, but I'm gonna go Stoney. I'm eager, guys.
Yeah.
I
I
am
like that.
And his stats this year are good.
no guys.
Mhm.
I'm excited for the simple fact that Stoney starting alongside Jaden Jackson. That familiarity, 3 years in this program together, understanding that defense, understanding what needs to happen, it's about to get scary. If you watch them at IMG, you know just kind of the yin yang effect that they had. One guy could be physical, one guy could be finesse. They can go vice versa. Other downs, they can just both be physical. Other downs, they're both finesse. One guy is taking him a little bit to get the engine started, but the other guy is over there acting like hell. He's driving a freight train through through everything, right? Then all of a sudden, here comes that guy. I mean, it's going to be pretty amazing to see what they have, especially. And then also, I would say just that D line group, that D tackle group. To be honest with you, I'm excited to see more Marcus Strong. I'm excited to see what Nigel Smith is going to.
Yes.
What is he going to have? I think you're deep down there. I mean, hell,
Trent Wilson looks
Trent Wilson.
unreal.
I'll be honest with you, it's to the point now where I'm kind of a believer. Like they may think they have something in Mark Henry's son. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know that.
Yeah. Who
How could
knows?
you not believe? How can and the thing is how would you not believe? You know what I mean? At this point, I mean, whoever it is that these guys are recruiting and developing, they're becoming that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Stone.
They're becoming that guy.
I mean, in the what after the draft is we'll get mock drafts for next year from different places. I fully expect to see David Stone as like a top 20 pick.
I've already seen. I know PFF released something, or I forgot who it was. They had him, and it had him at like number seven, the number 7 pick in the draft. Yeah.
Just scary. All right, favorite game of the year. I'm going with Michigan just because it set everything up in my mind. Right, the home crowd, the environment, the vibe, how good the defense played. It kind of set things up a little bit. Jason, you obviously went with a great call with Alabama. Chris,
What's not to love? What's not to love about the Alabama game? Whenever you're in the stadium watching them,
Yep.
it was a fantastic atmosphere, and Oklahoma comes away with a win. I mean,
that no one predicted. No one predicted.
nobody predicted it. It was definitely um, it was definitely a highlight of my football watching life to be able to go and see a game in Tuscaloosa at Bryant Denny, and against, I mean, and with my team getting the win there. Uh, I had to be pretty quiet on my way out, but I was so excited, man. It was what a freaking great night. So yeah, definitely my favorite win. I think it was probably one of the more important ones. I didn't make it to Tennessee, or else maybe that one is the answer. But I wanted to make sure I used this picture of Boganowski just because Bevo's bodyguard's still in there. So shout out to Bevo's bodyguard.
Chris, do you have a different game, or are you gonna go with Alabama too, or are you gonna go with Tennessee?
I picked Tennessee as the best game of the season this year, so I'll stick with that one.
All right.
Okay. I think that's
Okay.
a fair answer.
That's a fair duo trio there. All right, assistant coach of the year. I kind of threw this category just in because to give some chance to talk about some guys that may be a little under the radar. I think Jay Valai had a breakthrough year this year. The cornerback play, the depth, the talent. I have some Valai haters in my OU group, and they're all pretty much eating double-sized crow sandwiches with a side of crow, with scrambled eggs, with diced crow in it. When you think about the young guys coming up too, and the young guys on the field, I mean, there's a good chance. This goes to Brandon Hall as well, that we could have the best secondary in college football next year. Bowen, and Guillory or Jacoby Johnson. with guys like Caleb Downs and other people leaving to go pro, I don't know. That's not the best secondary in the country.
No doubt.
So that's my Jay Valai pitch because I feel
And
like
I think I would, and I want to second that too. As Jay Valai has been freaking fantastic, as far as his recruiting is concerned. And you've got back-to-back years of freshman All-American corners. Talk all the shit you want to about Jay Valai and who he is and who he isn't. Back-to-back freshman All-American corners it kind of speaks for itself. So you haters out there, you should shut up.
okay.
Yeah,
So, Jason, you went with Miguel Chavis. Obviously, his room, the development going on there, the recruiting for those. I got to throw a recruiting comment in. I mean, Miguel already has his top defensive end for 2027 committed. Crew Jones from Utah, 6'5", 235, just an absolute shark animal off the edge. So Miguel's killing it, and I think
another one that got hated on quite a bit too.
Early on, but now he's he and Bates. It's the proof is in the pudding. The guys just are getting better, and he's got two new guys that we're going to find out about next year, and Wyatt Gilmore. We saw some flashes from Wyatt and C.J. Nixon, who could be the ceiling on that kid is absurd. So I think Miguel Chavis is a great call as well. Chris, is there a coach you'd like to give some flowers to? Just a little call out for?
I mean, you can go Bates, you can go Brandon Hall, you could go.
Even Nate D solidified the linebacker position.
Yeah, but I'll be honest with you, Wes Godwin would be my assistant coach of the year simply because of just what he's done with that cheetah position. With that spot being so crucial to what this defense wants to do, to allow it to give it that flexibility, it needs to be multiple, truly multiple. I mean, come on, man. Like that, I think he's expedited that spot. And again, it's just all of these guys together. I mean, this defensive staff. And I'll be honest with you, you may throw in Kevin Wilson too. I'm just gonna be honest with you. You may throw in Kevin Wilson because I think again, it's just good to have somebody there that allows BV to kind of like, hey, when he needs to focus in on something, do that. It's a very fluid situation there. And I think that BV has the right staff around him, and I love the staff for him just with what he's trying to accomplish.
All right, guys, that's our. Sorry, go ahead, Jason. Finish up.
No, I just wanted to kind of back up. I mean, to talk about Miguel, I just go back to what a lot of people were wanting to fire him after year 2 of who he wasn't getting or whatever. And I mean, I could think of guys in the chat right here that wanted to fire Miguel Chavis, and Bates for that matter. So guys like that, we've heard about stuff about Valai, stuff like that as well. But Wes Goodwin, obviously, I would probably, if you're going to go with him, you got to go with Dreiling too, because you've heard nothing but great talk about him as well as what he's done in that linebacker room. These guys this is an all-star cast of defensive coaches that is just, I mean, and not to shit on the offensive side. I'm not trying to do. I think EJ is fantastic. He goes out and the year that they had to get rid of Gundy and they brought in the guy that was already an analyst, and EJ had to come in. You saw a big jump from the receivers the next year. Last year, you saw the receivers struggle. You heard a lot of people talking shit about EJ. He kind of stepped it up this year and got a lot out of some of these guys, even with some more injury issues and stuff like that. You've seen these guys kind of flourish under him. He continues to recruit his ass off. But I think that with Miguel Chavis and me, it was just like, I just remember how loud it was for so long, and I didn't understand why. This guy's unreal good at what he does. He motivates these kids. He's hard ass on them, and they love him for it. And we're talking about Taylor Wine so much. He's trying to be Miguel. He's like mimicking Miguel Chavis a lot. It's great stuff to see, but I love it, man. Kevin Wilson could be another good call as well there, Chris. I think that was pretty good stuff.
Yep.
You want to jump to the schedule? Do you have a schedule graphic for us?
I do. 1 second here. Yeah, just let's see. Man. You got me working tonight. Shit.
I'll be right back, fellas.
Okay.
No problem.
All right. Getting into the 2026 SEC schedule or team schedule. What's your thoughts on this? I mean, obviously, coming into it, it's not the same brutality that you've seen in the first 2 years. I would say. I don't think it's easy by any stretch, and it's certainly Texas somehow got away with no Bama or Georgia on theirs, which was kind of wild. But I guess they'll get Bama and Georgia on the next schedule.
And the same. So it's
Yeah.
and they. So the thing to me, Jason, looking at everything is for OU, it's everybody's feeling OU's pain from last year, from the season we just had, right? OU had a terribly loaded schedule, and there were a lot of schedules that were unbalanced. Now the SEC has pretty much spread the pain to everybody. So everybody is going to be dealing with an OU type schedule. I was listening to the SEC podcast guys, and they were just going, "Damn, this week is great. This week is great." They're like, "Man, this is so ugly," and just rattling off good games after good games. To me, I think, is this easier than what we just did? I don't know. It's so hard to tell. There's so many teams in transition that you're not quite sure what we're going to get. I mean, it's like, is there 10 new offensive coordinators in the conference? I think something like that. With the Moore kid from Missouri just got hired away. Obviously, Beamer had to hire a new guy.
Yeah, he just went and got Kendall Briles.
Yeah, so there's so much transition, a lot of assistants leaving, and then you've got the four new coaches. And we play 3 of them, right? We have to go to Florida. We get Florida, Kentucky, and Ole Miss. We have no idea how Golding is going to be as a head coach.
No,
I mean so a lot of mysteries there. I like getting A&M and Norman because in the past, I mean, what was our winning percentage when A&M came to Norman under Bob? It was like undefeated, and the margin of victory was like 40 points?
Beat the brakes off their asses.
I mean, they came to Norman and they were roadkill. They were roadkill. I mean, it was,
the only time I can remember them ever doing anything was that year in the Cotton Bowl, Johnny Manziel doing what he did, but that wasn't in conference. That was obviously a bowl game.
But that's their. I think that's the last time they beat us.
Yeah, I think. I think they've played them. I want to see the record. 25 times they've played. I think 18 times Oklahoma's won.
So I like that. The Missouri, the fake Missouri rivalry nonsense. Yeah, whatever. Okay, fine. We'll start drilling them.
The Ole Miss one was another one that I didn't understand why they decided to go with that. I know that they were looking for some spots because everybody else was bitching, and they allowed them to do that. I kind of have to agree with what Kiffin said. Is like, yeah, there's nothing in common because Ole Miss.
You're exactly right.
But like, I would much rather have seen LSU or Tennessee in that spot.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's. We got put there because of complaints about other folks, right?
Yeah.
Other teams were demanding certain. They were
They wanted their rivals to be who they wanted them to be, and
we just basically got what we got. It was like, okay, we're not. Because we didn't, as long as I think we were pretty much like.
There's not any real rivals in this conference for Oklahoma, though. That's the truth.
Not yet. It was like, just give us Texas, and we're pretty flexible. Just don't give us Texas, Bama, and Georgia. Like, don't give us Bama or Georgia as the second team.
I wish they would stop trying to force feed the Mizzou thing, but I think that there is a lot of hatred there, and there's a lot of shit talking that goes back and forth, so it doesn't necessarily hurt. I would hope that that they can, but they look. It sounds like this is going to be every 4 years. They're going to
reevaluate. Yeah.
So it sounds good, but I mean, I look at this schedule like up front. It's front loaded. You look at it. Michigan could be. We don't know what they're going to be with everything that's going on with Sharon and what the fallout from that is going to be. But going on the road to
The big house.
to the big house is not, normally an easy thing to do. And if they keep their quarterback situation, I can see that being a tough game. Um, Obviously, then you turn around and you're at Georgia in week 4. Huge SEC opener on the road in Athens. I mean, what a way to start that series off. Whoa. Then you got an open week and you got Texas in the Red River game. And Coop said this morning, and you kind of have to pick Texas until we beat them at this point. You know what I mean? Because they're
Sure.
because they're not getting it done, and I kind of have to agree with that. Um, Kentucky, listen, I like Will Stein a lot, a lot. I mean, you guys know I wanted him to be the offensive coordinator, something fierce this year. Um,
And the Coley kid's not bad, right? The Coley kid's not. Is that his name? Is it right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Is it
Cutter Coley? Is it Cutter Coley?
Cutter? Yeah, he looks. Listen, I think that Will Stein. That's probably one of the better. It's an unheralded or underrated hire. In a year when you had a guy like obviously Lane Kiffin goes to LSU, John Sumrall. I think he's the best hire out there right now to myself. And then you go on the road and you play them as well. Mississippi State, Levy, there's something to that there. Um, and like you said about the South Carolina deal with we should know kind of what we're gonna get with Kendall Briles being at South Carolina. Not too concerned about that. I mean, look, obviously you get Lenore Sellers, so you may get a really good version of him if he comes back. That is.
Jason, that's what I was going to say. I was like, man, now
If you're Lenore's, do you stay? Because I don't know that you do. If you're a first round grade, they're gonna take a flyer on you in the first round. I would think I leave.
Now you're right about that, but I'm just saying, like when I look at the schedules like that, it's hard to really project right now, simply because there's so much shuffling that's about to happen, man.
Sure,
Like
sure.
that as we enter the nether realm to go
Historically, it doesn't
mortal.
look as crazy as what the one this year did for
Yeah,
sure.
portal. Yeah, still, portal comeback is gonna be crazy because there's gonna be money thrown at a lot of these kids, and a lot of these kids got to make. I think what's different. What's different than last year was that a lot of these kids, and it's something that's not talked about a lot, but a lot of the kids last year were chasing the dollar. I think a lot of these kids now are having to make business decisions as far as like, yeah, I want to get paid, but I also want to play in the league too. I want to get drafted high so I can get as much guaranteed money as I possibly can because time's coming to an end. You get what I'm saying? And so a guy like Sellers, guys like that, they have to make business decisions now and figure out what's best for me because I'm just gonna be honest with you. That veer and shoot, Chris Mason knows. I told him I would have loved Golish at O State or somewhere in the Big 12 with that veer and shoot. That's what I'm scared of the most for them. It's like once that offense looks 2-3 games, it looks amazing. You can't beat it. In the next 2 games, you just like, well, it's an average offense. It's just slants and trying to run the ball until you could try to pop something open, and that's just kind of what it is. So yeah, but yeah, no, Jason, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I was just gonna say, man, I was like,
No,
I
you're good.
I gotta wait and see what these rosters look like
I
because
don't know what I think
because I
about.
think a lot of people are gonna try to gut Kentucky. To be honest with you, I'm surprised a lot of players haven't. There hasn't been a mass exodus yet.
Well, and here's the thing: them changing that rule because they have now it's 5 days after the hire or whatever it is, but it's more or less it's January.
Yes, they're all going to be. We're going to January's got all of the roster poaching for like LSU, Penn State, all of these things really got pushed. Got pushed to 2nd of January.
Well, and I would think that like Will Stein, you're going to see. I mean, under Stoops, they were losing guys. If they got a good offensive dude, he was gone the next year.
Yeah.
That was tough. I don't think that you're going to see that as much with Will Stein. I may think that
I
makes it
wouldn't.
better.
I wouldn't.
If you're a quarterback, especially I mean, he's had back-to-back Heisman finalists, and Dante Moore has been one of the best quarterbacks in the country as well.
Yeah, obviously you guys have accurately pointed out, like the Michigan, Georgia, Texas. That sort of makes or breaks the season from a certain perspective. And what I do like is Well, and we'll obviously see. Chris is right. Portal combat's coming up, so we don't quite know. But in theory, we're going to go on the road with a kick-ass defense, and if you're putting in a new offense in Michigan, which is probably what's going to happen, and you've lost some personnel, Georgia, we're going to at least walk into Athens with a cutthroat defense, and same thing for Texas. Texas is losing. They seem to be going through a little bit of chaos themselves with the portal and
It
some
ain't
of
over
their
yet.
and
It ain't over yet.
and with their losses. I just like the thought that, well, we may have the best D line in the country. Linebacker's the only question mark, and we may have the best secondary in the country. If you don't have your shit together early, we're gonna feast on you defensively.
My feeling is you're going to probably end up getting. You're going to see. I think Kip probably comes back, and I mean, you hope that Sammy O kind of steps it up and takes that next step. And you've seen him play really well this year at times. It
Yeah.
kind of depends on the game, but I think that he's been really good. Kobe McKenzie, I don't think he has another year, does he?
Oh, he does.
He does. Okay,
Yeah.
well, then it could be really good if they come back. So yeah, to me,
Yeah, if all three
I
come
think a
back,
lot of
if
it's
we
going to
could get
depend on what happens. What kind of grade they get on their draft status when this is all said and done. And what we were kind of talking about this morning is that I think that even though this offense has not been as good as we think it should be, certainly, and when it comes to that kind of stuff, my thoughts are you got the best draw for winning and getting to the national championship game. Being on the side with Indiana, who, look, I think they're coached well. I think they've played nobody. They played two teams the entire year, one in the conference championship game. I wasn't overly impressed with them. I just wasn't. I think that no matter if Oklahoma or Bama wins, they lose that next game. That I think Indiana's out at the Rose Bowl. I think that you have an opportunity. There should be Oklahoma winning that and getting to that game. So then you're looking at either Oregon or Texas Tech. I think it's going to be Oregon, and I think that you can go in there and probably win that game as well. Look, I just feel like this is one of these games this is one of these years that you can see them kind of really pushing for that. And if they were to fall short of it, some of these guys might want to come back. You know what I mean? Especially if they're not second or third round grade. And I don't know that you're going to grade those guys at that because of the fact that the linebackers especially can't put a lot of numbers up because the D line was stacking them.
And you're playing a lot of linebacker. I mean, you're playing four guys at linebacker. It was interesting on the Oklahoma breakdown. Nagy said that he's already reached out to 32 GMs to get grades on guys, on his guys. And like 20 of them have answered him back because they all know him. He has relationships with all of them. So Nagy's obviously gaining all of that information to be able to pitch the best retention packages for the guys we want to keep, right? Because you're right. If we get two of the three backers back, right? And Heineke has this weird thing about his lacrosse year, and he needs to get like a waiver to come back. But if you just got Kobe and Kip back, I mean, your defense is set, and there's a whole bunch of guys we just talked about that we think are poised for big years next year.
Kel Gundy mentioned how small the O-line D-line is for Texas Tech. They're probably about to get a wake-up call. Yeah, look, man, they've been pounding their chest about how great they are everywhere and all that shit. Yeah, get ready. Now you're going to play one of the Power 2 schools right off the bat. And, this is your first time there. Have fun with that. So
Yeah,
I'll believe Tech when I see it against somebody real.
Yeah, they beat Oregon, then I'll start paying attention.
Yeah.
But I just think the schedule, again, if we're catching some teams that could be reconfiguring a little bit, UGA probably has more NFL departures than OU defensively. Obviously they bring Stockton back, but they'll lose Branch, and they haven't been like developing or recruiting wide receivers great lately. So they're going to lose Branch. They got good tight ends. Their running back room's solid. So I mean that's a game that, I mean, trust me, OU at UGA. I don't think OU and UGA have ever played a regular season football game. Ever. OU has never been to Athens. So this is like historic stuff. So that's going to be a huge game. Obviously, I'm here in Atlanta, so we got to win that game so I can wear an OU hat around for the rest of the year. But Texas, you favor Texas until we beat them. But I do think, we're catching those 3 teams. I'd rather catch UGA. I know the turnaround from Michigan is quick, but I'd rather catch UGA, to be honest, in September than late November. Just from the way Kirby builds football teams, and they tend to build momentum later. Early, they're still kind of finding their legs a little bit. Maybe that won't be the case next year, but I do think we can walk in with a comparable defense into Athens to what UGA is going to field. And saying that is just an amazing statement based upon what we used to deal with.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Hey, Chris, anything more on the schedule?
No.
You need more data. Need more data to have more opinions, huh?
I need more. I need more data. I am excited about that Georgia matchup early, man. I think that's going to be a big time game. I'm excited to watch that. That's going to be hard nosed football. It's a lot of
We going out? Are we making the pilgrimage or what? Come on, baby. Come on.
We'll talk about it.
So it's a pilgrimage up I-85 to Highway 316 for me. It's about 90 minutes. So
yeah, no doubt.
Through Gwinnett County, get off 85.
I like it there. I got some cool video while I was there, and it's just a cool college town, man. It really is.
It's a good college. It's a good college town. So it's going to be interesting, but you certainly get into a world of trouble in Atlanta before you make your way up to Athens for game day. So just be aware of that. So it's Atlanta is still it's not quite the Gold Club Gambino crime family of old, but you still can get into a bunch of trouble in the city.
No doubt, without a doubt. No, without a doubt. All right, man. Well, anything else you want to add to any of this? Or we've been going for almost an hour and a half. So, I appreciate everybody coming in. Make sure you hit that like button. You guys are going to be in here talking shit. Make sure that you hit that like button there, Texas down guy.
We're going to go next Thursday with our Alabama preview, make our picks.
For Friday, we'll talk about that offline because the game's Friday, Thursday.
Do you want to do Wednesday? We need to talk about that.
May want to do Wednesday because I know that a lot of people are going to be at that at the Riverwind watching.
Yeah.
With that guest. Well, we talk about that off, guys. We'll have a show for you guys next week. Our Bama preview. We'll make our picks, and we will somehow rustle ourselves together post game for a post game wrap up. Probably on Sunday, probably Saturday morning. Sorry, my days are all confused because we're playing on Friday. We'll probably have a Saturday morning recap for us, unless we just have a ass-kicking awesome game, and we may have to just get on the air and talk shit late Friday night, early Saturday morning if that's the case. So,
yeah, no doubt. Appreciate everybody coming in. We'll see you all soon. Have a good one.
Have fun watching Texas.
Cheez-Its are great.
I've got a box of Cheez-Its right here, as a matter of fact, man. I should have busted them out. We'll get there. All right, guys. Have a good one.